Hi, today we're talking about the document formatter in Nitro. It's easy to understand and fundamental to your projects, so it's good to understand its behavior and role as a formatter in your projects. Just to set things up, I've got 4 variables declared here that I'm going to use in this example. And right now, we can find our document formatter here. It's not doing anything except putting start from scratch into the document. And just as a reminder, a document is a formatter and it is being revised right now with this content. If you need better explanation on what formatters are or what revisions are, then check out our formatters video in the fundamental series where we go over that concept in more detail. So the first thing we need to do is just get some content in here other than this start from scratch. So let's start by grabbing this small illustration and let's grab the long text and press F5 and there we go. So a document has what we call block-like behavior, which means that it will go through its revision, and for each element in the revision, it will create a paragraph for that element. And so it creates a paragraph for the illustration and a paragraph for the long text, which we see laid out here in the document. The other thing a block will do is it will assign whatever properties, whatever formatting properties you apply within the block to each one of these paragraphs. So we're going to apply a couple of formatting properties here. We're going to add a separator. We're going to tell it separate each of these elements by a paragraph with a line height of 10 points. And we're going to justify any text full. So we're going to go ahead and press F5. And there we go. We got full justified text and we're spaced out. So that is a document behaving in a block-like format. So if we take a look at the document, we can click it and press F1. We'll see that the document can be constructed with several parameters when it's called. The first parameter is a thickness class margin, and then a landscape, columns, call gap, gutter, and size. So let's go through some of these. It's pretty obvious what they're going to do. The first one in our list is a thickness class. Now there's a little shortcut we can do in Nitro when we need to provide a number to something like a thickness class, and that is that we can just type the measurement directly. So let's give it 0.25 inches. And if that's all I type, then Nitro will assume, I guess you want that to be the margin for all the margins in the document. Let's get rid of these extra screens that we don't need here. And let's press F5. And it adjusts the document to 0.25 inch margins. Straightforward. But if we want to be a little more advanced with our margins, we can actually take that thickness class, which if we hover on it over here, we'll see that it's constructed with a left, top, right, and bottom thickness that will lay out the margins. So we're going to go up here and we're going to paste in here a variable called margins. We're going to have it equal a new thickness class where we got left, top, right, and bottom. So we're going to go a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the right, and 1 inch at the bottom. And then let's just take that variable and put it in here. All right, F5. And there we go. Now we've got a 1/4 inch at the top, a 1/2 inch at the sides, and right now we have a 1 inch at the bottom. We can't see it, but we'll see it here in a few moments. So that's it. Margins are established in the document as the first parameter. So if we take a look here, the next thing in our list is landscape. So let's go ahead and set landscape to true. Let's turn it on and let's get back to where we're looking only at the document. We'll press F5. Pretty obvious what it's going to do. It's switch the document to landscape. All right, that doesn't need much more explanation. So let's go to the next item in the list, which are columns. And then after that is column gap. So let's start by giving it, let's say 3 columns. Let's press F5. Now our content is all shoved over here into the first column and the other 2 are empty. So we're going to take just a second here to build out these columns so we can see them. So we're going to take long text here. We're just going to put it in an array and then multiply that by 20. In Nitro, when a block encounters an array, then it's going to go through the array and treat each item in the array as an individual element. So what it'll do here is it'll create 20. I don't want to do 20. Let's just do 8. It'll make 8 paragraphs out of long text, and it'll apply these formatting characteristics to each one. So let's press F5. And there we go. We've got our 3 columns and our 8 paragraphs. So if we remember, the next item in the list was call gap. So right now we can see there's a natural probably 1/4 inch gap in there. Let's change that to a 1/2 inch, 0.5 inches. And let's press F5. There we go. That's our call gap setting. That's straightforward. Now the next item in the list is gutter. And the gutter, we need a little bit more content on the screen to see the gutter. So let's change this from 8 to 16. Press F5. Now we're on to both pages. In fact, let's make it a little bigger. Let's make it 20. And let's just leave it on 2 pages here. So let's bring it down to maybe 18. There we go. That's nice. So we can see right now our columns are even on both pages. Let's set a gutter to a 1/2 inch. Okay, and we'll press F5. And so what that has done is it's created an extra 1/2 inch of space here and over here, which is what we expect from gutters, right? It alternates on the pages. So we can bring this down to 16 so we can just stay on 2 pages. That works out nicely. So that takes care of the gutter. So all that is very simple to understand, very simple to use. The last thing in the list here is simply to set the size of the paper, which right now the default size is 8.5 by 11. So if we want to set the size of our paper, we do it here, and we'll set it to 8.5 inches by, let's make it 14 inches. Let's make it like a legal size paper. And let's F5 on that. Increase our viewport a little bit so we can see it. Add some more items to our columns. We still have our gutters. We have our margins all the way around. We have our 1 inch margin at the bottom, 1/4 inch at the top, 1/2 inch on the sides with a 1/2 inch gutter on each side, and 8.5 by 14 inch legal size paper. Okay, so that pretty much covers it for the parameters that you can use when making another document object. But let's talk about doing exactly that. Let's make another document here. So right now we have 1 document. Let's have 2. So we have my document class here, and it inherits document class. So we need to make another one of these classes here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy that and paste it here. Just going to give us a little separator here so we can see what's going on. little visual reference. And we're going to name this class here. Let's name that, let's call it history. Call this history class, and let's call this one postcard class. Why not? And let's go ahead and change the tab names of these. We'll call this one history, and we'll call this one postcard. Save it. Now we can see we got some build errors up here. That's because this default text, where it's trying to create a new main document of type My Document class, obviously doesn't work because we just removed My Document class. And we have more than one document. So I'm going to show you how to do this. We're just going to take out this class here. And instead of saying document singular, we're going to make it plural. And instead of calling new, we're just going to hit an array. And in it, we're going to make a new instance of these two classes. It's that straightforward. And that's it. So now if we press F5, we're going to have a runtime error because I forgot to change one of these two IDs. Documents have to have a unique ID, so I'll just pick one and put Control-Shift-G. Makes a new GUID, F5. Okay, now we see our history document here. I'm going to get rid of these other tabs because we don't need them. But where is our postcard document? Well, it's up here. So under the Documents menu item, you'll see your documents listed here. So let's pick the second document called Postcard, and then we can drag them around if we want to. We can have history be first or postcard. And so now we've got the two documents, and they happen to be exactly the same because we haven't changed any content. But let's do that now. Let's change this postcard to make it something different. We don't need these margins. Let's take these margins out, and let's just make this 1/4 inch all the way around. 0.25 inches. And we'll leave it landscape, but we don't need any columns. We don't need a column gap, and we don't need a gutter. So we're going to make all these null. But we do need a paper size, and we'll go ahead and do just a typical 5x7. So we got a 5x7 landscape with 1/4 inch margins. And let's see, we don't need a separator or that. In fact, the only thing we're going to put in this is just this large image, just to illustrate what we're doing here. But we will probably need to position it. But let's do F5 right now. There we go. And let's go ahead and just give it a little formatting to make it horizontally in the center and drop it down a little bit. And there we go. So this is how you make another document. We have a postcard class, inheriting document class, and we have a history class, inheriting document class. Both of them call the required getDocument method that hits a document formatter and then creates a document from that point down. So the postcard looks like this, and the history document looks like that. So if you're new to Nitro, this should help you with creating new documents.